What is up, guys? We are live back again for another Lucrative MMA Betting Podcast, episode 30. 30 episodes in, and this is a little bit of a different episode because I'm going to be breaking down the full card. If you can hear me, please let me know in the chat because I just bought a new mic. As most of you know, I'm on the road at the moment. I'm on a road trip, so I don't have a lot of signal. I'm in random places. I don't have my usual equipment with me. As you can tell, I'm not in my usual setup or in my newish setup, with no posters on the wall or anything. At the moment, I'm just in an Airbnb. So if you can let me know if you can hear me, because I got this new Rode mic. Hopefully it's working. Thank you. I don't have my good microphone. I don't have my good webcam working. Unfortunately, I did try and connect it. I brought it with me on holiday. I did try and connect it, but it wasn't working. So it is what it is. But yeah, I haven't been doing, I think the last two podcasts I missed, or the last one I missed. And I've been a little bit sparing on them over the last 4 weeks or so. I think I missed 2 out of 4, which, I didn't want to do. I aim to do these every week. So for that reason, I wanted to come on and do a full card breakdown. I did a poll on Twitter yesterday asking what you guys want to see. Do you want to see a full card breakdown? Or do you want to do my usual format, where we talk about the most exciting fight, most inaccurate line, main event, and overwhelmingly, of course, I didn't even need to ask the question, but I thought I'd put it out anyway. Overwhelmingly, the answer was a full card breakdown. So I wanted to do that just to, just to say sorry that I've missed a couple of weeks and to give you some more content to consume rather than just 3 fights. We're going to be speaking about 13 fights or however many fights are on the card, right? And yeah, a couple of you saying that everything's running smooth and my sound is good. So yeah, shout out to that. Someone saying the last one I did was I was in a car. Yeah, that was the Instagram live. If you haven't followed me on Instagram, follow me on Instagram, Lucrative MMA, because I am doing my Instagram lives quite often on there. And I don't put them up anywhere else. They're not on YouTube. They're not on Twitter. They're not on Facebook. They're nothing. They're just on Instagram only. And I usually break down some fights and answer, questions and bring some of you guys in to chat with me one-on-one as well. So, yeah, follow me along there. But, yeah, without further ado, we'll get straight into it. I'm on a solid run. We've won the 7 of the last 9 events we have won. We also had our second biggest weekend this year in that 7 to 9 event period. I think our last UFC event we won 20 units? I think it was like 16 units, but we also took home like 4 units on the PFL or something. It was about 20 units in total over the PFL, Bellator, and UFC cards. And yeah, we're carrying on this run. Hopefully, we can continue this weekend. We won on the UFC last weekend as well. It was the weekend before the UFC event that we won many units on. It was a Charles Oliveira card. Last week, we took home like 2 units. Really should have been 6 units. But Rakic blew out his knee. It is what it is. Maybe he wouldn't have won that fight anyway. It was looking like he probably would have won that fight, but it was still a close fight. Yan was in it. So, yeah, hopefully we can carry on this run we've been on, and hopefully I can help you make some money on this card, because I actually do like this card for betting. I think it's a solid card in terms of betting. A lot of people are shitting on the card. I think the card will be pretty decent. But I think every card's going to be decent. I'm a little bit of a hipster when it comes to UFC and MMA. So without further ado, I'll get straight into it. I will try and bring my screen up now so you can kind of follow me along. And we'll start from the bottom to the top. Along Tapology's order. This is not always correct, but yeah, I think this one is correct. So I'll just bring up the card now, which is, yeah, so the first fight of the night is Elise Reed versus Sam Hughes, apparently, And I think this was like a late addition. I don't think this fight was scheduled for that long. Obviously, Sam Page just fought not too long ago. Estela Nunes, that was like, maybe 4 weeks ago? I'm not 100% sure. But I think it was about 4 weeks ago. So, yeah, let me just share my screen so you can see what I'm talking about. Share Chrome tab, Elise Reed, Sam Hughes. There we go. Sharing that one. Okay, so here we are, guys. So you can see it now. Yeah, so Elise Reed is facing Sam Hughes. And this fight is kind of interesting to me, just off the bat, I think I think it's a decent fight for Elise Reed. I don't really rate Sam Page as an MMA fighter, honestly. She's 6-4, but she has fought some tough competition. Like, we have to give her that. She's 6-4, but she's fighting girls who are good fighters. She's not losing against the worst of the worst. She lost against Loma Lookboonmee. There's a couple of other decent fighters in there. That Luana Pinheiro seems to be decent. She's obviously very strong. In the first round, but she tends to fade. But she's still a decent fighter. Couple of other losses in there as well. Sam Hughes, obviously Tisha Torres, very, very high level fighter up there. So it is what it is. She is 6-4, bad looking record. But if she wasn't facing the level of competition she has been facing, which it isn't her level of competition, she's not that good. If she had fought the same fighters as Elise Reed, she probably would be more like a 6-2 or something like that, right? I don't think she would have lost 4 fights, put it that way. She got a decent win last time out. I'm not 100% sure if I do agree with the decision. I don't really remember. I've taped this fight a couple of days ago, but since then I've taped loads of fights. I've rented out an Airbnb while I'm on the road trip, and I've just taped an extreme amount of fights. So, I don't have the best memory of them, but she got fucked up bad in the first round by Estela Nunez, and then she came back. She's kind of like this fighter who mounts comebacks, right? She usually starts slow and she wants to build into the fight. A lot of times, though, she's fighting fighters who she's not good as. She's not as good as, so she can't build into the fight, I think she took a round off Loma, or she looked decent in one of the rounds or something like that. So, she's shown to have decent moments against some fighters, or against some higher level fighters, but she doesn't really do that much well, in my opinion. She's pretty straightforward. She doesn't excel at anything, but she's just a decent fighter. Like, she's a tough fighter. She's got good cardio. She's got a decent 1-2. She's got a decent pressure game. But at the end of the day, she's not really that good at anything. And on the other hand, Elise Reed, you can kind of say the same about Elise Reed. She's not, super high level at anything. But I will say that I do rate her striking quite a bit better than Sam Hughes. I think she's a little bit more vicious in there. I think her leg kicks, she's a bit quicker than Sam Hughes in the striking. She's a little bit more calculated. She's just more of a higher level striker than Sam Hughes, but the takedown defense and the grappling is kind of where she doesn't do so well at, right? But we saw in the Corey McKenna fight that she potentially has made improvements, in that fight. Maybe she made improvements. Who knows? But in the Corey McKenna fight, she did kind of show some improvements. She was working back to her feet a little bit more than I thought she would be. She was defending the takedowns a little bit more than I thought she would be. So shout out to Elise Reed there, because I did think I saw some improvements. I think I saw some improvements out of her. And also, she fought Jasmine Jasudavicius in the regional scene. I don't know what the regional scene there was at. I can't remember. But she won that fight, right? And it was a split decision win. And I think it was 4 5-minute rounds. She kept getting taken down in that fight, but she kept working back up to her feet, and she edged it out on the judges' scorecards. And Jasudavicius is shown to be, a decent fighter in the UFC. Nothing special, but she obviously beat Kay Hansen, who's went on like a 4-fight loss streak and no longer in the UFC. So there's nothing special about that win, in my opinion. I was on Jasmine Jasudavicius there, plus 200. So the bookies weren't rating her, but I was, so I don't think that's an amazing win, but she showed some decent, stuff in the UFC at least. On the Contender Series, she fought a good fight as well, against a good fighter, in my opinion. Jasmine Jasudavicius beat a good fighter on the Contender Series, but the fight was fighting up at a weight class. I can't remember her name now, but I think she could be in the UFC if she fights at a natural weight class. I honestly think that we probably do see her in the UFC one day. So yeah, man, I think that the way this fight breaks down, I do think Elise Reed is the deserved favorite. I do think Elise Reed wins the fight. I just think that there's, I just don't see what Sam Hughes can really do to win the fight other than just make it dirty, grind it out. And it's going to look ugly if she wins, but can she make it look ugly against Elise Reed? Elise Reed has good footwork, in my opinion. And Elise Reed is also tenacious, Elise Reed is also a tough girl who will come forward And I think Elise Reed's got decent cardio as well. Yeah, I know she's got decent cardio. She's a tough girl. She's going to be coming forward. She's got that swag about her. So I don't really see Sam Hughes like out muscling her and outpacing her and making it a dogfight and her winning that dogfight super comfortably, which is kind of what she needs to do to win any fight. I don't think Elise Reed minds being in a dogfight type thing, I feel like that Estela Nunes girl, she didn't really like it when the going got tough, but I think Elise Reed won't mind when the going gets tough, So I think that's the big difference between Elise Reed and Estela Nunes here. Someone in the chat saying Estela has better striking than Elise. Yes, she does. She definitely does. But, the difference between them two, in my opinion, is that Estela Nunes, she hadn't really shown great cardio. I do think Elise Reed has going 4 5-minute rounds against Jasmine Jasudavicius, being taken down multiple times, grappling multiple times, and kept getting back to her feet. I think Elise Reed is proven, in my opinion, to be pretty resilient. And Estela Nunes just hadn't shown that, and Sam Page exposed that. Sam Page is going to expose some of these fighters who she can get that grappling game against, push her fighters up against the cage, this type of thing. I don't think she can consistently do that against someone like Elise Reed. I think she may be able to do that in spurts, but I just think that the fight's probably going to be close in that type of fight. The cage control, clinch, dogfight type of fight. I think the fight's going to be close in that realm. And then when it's not in that realm, it's going to be on the feet, at range. And I think in that fight, I think Elise Reed will clearly win, right? So that being the case, I think it's like a 50-50 fight in the clinch, in a dogfight. But I think it's like 80-20, 90-10, in my opinion, even in a range battle. So for that reason, I think Elise Reed should be favored, fairly heavily here, fairly significantly. I think it's one of them fights where it will look close, but Elise Reed will probably, edge out a decision most of those times. So, yeah, that's my breakdown for the fight. I don't mind an Elise Reed play. I don't mind Elise Reed via decision. I don't think, she's going to get a stoppage in this fight. I don't think Sam Page will get a stoppage either. So, yeah, I mean, that's my breakdown on the fight. I like Elise Reed in this first fight of the night. And the second fight of the night we have is Chase Hooper versus Felipe Colares. How do I just go straight over? I think I might have to go back and then. So many ads on Tapology these days, kind of annoying. I might just have to bring up Chase Hooper's record and then go there. Yeah, so the next fight of the night, Chase Hooper versus Felipe Colares. Honestly, guys, I'm not really going to talk too heavy about this one. I don't really have a good read on this fight. Sorry, it's just a bit annoying to get the stats up, but I'll bring the stats up here. Yeah, so Chase Hooper's 10-2 with a draw chucked in there, and then Felipe Colares 10-3. They often do that, I often see that. Just on a side note, like the UFC will put fighters with the same record against each other. It just seems to happen quite often. I don't know whether I just watch so many fights that I'm bound to see the same records, every now and then. I know it's not the same, but similar every now and then. But I also think that they like to put fighters who have the same amount of experience against each other and stuff like that. So yeah, Chase Hooper's obviously going to have a height and reach advantage here. Pretty heavy height and reach advantage, to be honest. He's 6'1", as opposed to Colares' 5'8", and then his reach is 75.5. as opposed to Colares' 69.5, So big reach, big height advantage for Chase Hooper, which he has in most of his fights. But he doesn't use it, right? He doesn't want to use that height and reach advantage. He actually wants to oppose that height and reach advantage. He wants to get real close up to you and get in the grappling, take you down, go for submissions. He's got a heel hook finish in the UFC. He likes to work for the back. He's got strange submission attempts. He'll go for like multiple triangles, even from top position. I remember I think he had that one dude in a triangle from top position on his debut and just smashed him with elbows. He's a very funky character, constantly do Imanari rolls because he's not that strong and his wrestling ain't that good, So it's hard for him to get takedowns the traditional way. So he tries to do Imanari rolls and jump on your back and, spinning back fist to double leg takedown and just silly stuff like this because he just doesn't have the wrestling skill set or the strength to get fighters down, with a double leg, single leg, or clinch up against the cage, body lock, anything like that. I think he needs to pack on some muscle, similar to what Sean O'Malley did, when he had him 2 years off. I think he needs to hit the gym, pack on some muscle, work on his wrestling, crazy. I wouldn't even work on his striking too much because he's a tough motherfucker. He has a height and reach advantage over most people. So I wouldn't even spend too much time on striking, honestly. I would just go heavy into wrestling. Just wrestle every single day, man. Just with the best wrestlers and start a solid strength and conditioning program. And if he does that, I do think Chase Hooper can be a decent fighter because Chase Hooper is good on top. At the end of the day, when it gets in the grappling realm, he is good. That he is good at that. So is he going to be able to do that against Felipe Colares here? Now, maybe, because Colares, he's a wild fighter, man. He engages in the grappling every single fight. He goes for takedowns every single fight. He gets taken down every single fight. So it's kind of hard for me to see this fight playing out like Chase Hooper versus Alex Caceres, where Caceres was just jabbing from range, skirting around the edge of the octagon. I don't think we're going to see that here. Now, we may see a Chase Hooper versus Steven Peterson type fight where, Peterson, Colares does engage in the grappling, but he's just stronger than Hooper. He's smart enough on the ground to avoid submissions, and he's able to win the grappling just from basically being stronger and having maybe slightly better technique in the wrestling. Maybe we could see that here, but I can't, I'm not really confident in saying that will happen. If the fight is in the grappling realm, which I do think it will be, I actually do think Chase Hooper can lock something up against someone like Karat. Wait, I'll say that again, guys. Colares. Okay. I do think he can lock something up against Felipe Colares. But do I want to be banking on that? No way. I'm not going anywhere near this fight. I mean, at the end of the day, I understand backing Chase Hooper. Maybe you just... I understand backing both fighters in this spot, just because Colares, he's going to give into the game plan of Chase Hooper, in my opinion. But he could still win that fight, though, and he's going to win on the feet. So, on the one hand, Chase Hooper, yeah, you want to back him because Colares is going to, give him the game plan, give him the fight he wants. But on the other hand, you want to back Colares because even if he does give Chase Hooper that game plan or that type of fight, he's still probably going to win that fight, or he definitely has a good chance to win that fight. And then on the feet, if he doesn't give him that fight, if he is smart, then he can win the fight fairly easily, in my opinion. So, man, it's a dodgy fight. I'm not betting on it. I can see the case for both guys, and I'm just passing. So, yeah, that's it for me. If it was a -110 fight, I'd probably play Felipe Colares. But I mean, Colares is like -170, -180 now. So, yeah, no interest from me from a betting perspective, in my opinion. Yeah. The next fight we have, let's see what we got going on here. So Jonathan Martinez versus Vince Morales. This is a good fight. One of the best fights on the card. It's probably like top 3 fights on the card. Let me see what fights we got. Yeah, this is probably like the 4th best fight on the card. No, it's probably like 3rd best fight on the card. Yeah, it's like top 3, I would say. So yeah, Jonathan Martinez versus Vince Morales. Now, Jonathan Martinez is coming off 2 wins. I don't want to change the page, but he last beat... I bet him in that fight. I can't remember. Was this fight after Lavishvili, which that guy's not in the UFC anymore. And the guy he fought last time out, I think he had a long layoff or something. Jonathan Martinez is a kickboxer. He's a very good kicker. He does actually most of his work with the kicks. His boxing, in terms of striking, his boxing is where, he lets himself down. He's not the greatest boxer, but he is a good kicker. On the other hand, we got Vince Morales, which is not a great kicker at all. Kicking is his kryptonite. But he is a good boxer, He just knocked out Louis Smoker in his last fight. So shout out to him because we saw what, Davy Grant had to go through against Louis Smoker. It took a long time for Davy Grant to finish him. whereas Vince Morales knocked him out in the first round. But as I always say, the first rounds, first round knockouts, you can't take too much from those guys. You cannot take too much from them whatsoever. It's funny. I was just taping Eric Anders because he's got a fight this week against Jun Young Park, right? And I watched his Darren Stewart first fight, and he hurt Darren Stewart badly. The fight was, basically over, and then he did an illegal knee and he got no contested, right? I had bet fight goes to decision at like -200 in that spot, and it looked like a terrible bet. It looked like an awful bet, right? Because Eric Anders blasted him in round 1, basically knocked him out, and luckily the fight got called a no contest, so I got my money back, right? And then they had the rematch because of the dodgy ending, the no contest. And in the rematch, the goes to decision was -150. It wasn't -200 like it originally was, right? So the bookies had changed their price because of the first fight. Now I was looking heavily at that -150, right? And I've been in the game for many, many years. So I knew that we can't judge a fight off one iteration of it, right? We've seen this time and time again. Carla Esparza versus Rose Namajunas 2 weeks ago, right? Carla Esparza, the first fight, takes her down. Namajunas hurts her on the feet. It's a wild fight. Carla gets the submission. The next time they fight, what happens is the complete opposite of the fight. Like nothing happens for 5 rounds. So we know that no 2 fights are the same, except for Katelyn Vieira versus Jennifer Maia. But yeah, no 2 fights are the same. And so I was looking at that -150 because I bet it the first time at -200, and now I'm getting it again at a better price, right? But I just saw Eric Anders smash the fuck out of Darren Stewart. So now I had to weigh up my options. Am I going to bet this -150, better price? Am I going to trust my initial read? Or am I going to say, maybe my read was wrong? He got hurt in the first round. I didn't think Eric would be able to hurt him like that. Let me skip. I made the wrong decision, in my opinion, and I ended up passing on the -150 line because I looked at it and I went to myself, you know what? Maybe I underestimated Eric Anders' power. And also, maybe I overestimated Darren Stewart in terms of his skill set. Maybe he is just done, And he kind of showed himself to maybe be a little bit done, even after, he lost a couple of fights after that. So maybe I was right in that. But what happened was what I said was going to happen the first time ended up happening the second time, right? It was never close to finish him, really. Eric didn't hurt him. He did do some ground and pound, but he didn't hurt him. And it went to decision, So I could have beat the bookies there. I could have got that -150 line when I originally played it for -200. But I'm saying all that to say this. Even though I've been in the game for 10 years, I can still make mistakes, of course. We all can, right? And we have to know that one fight, especially when the fight is a first-round finish, we can't take too much from that. So, back to Vince Morales and Jonathan Martinez. Vince Morales knocked out Louis Smolka, but it was a first-round knockout, right? We see Louis Smolka go out against Davy Grant and go through hell. Davy Grant hits harder than Vince Morales, in my opinion. Now, Morales does actually, to be honest, Vince Morales hits fucking hard. I will say that. He definitely hits hard, and he hits more accurate. But anyway, we can't take too much from Vince Morales knocking Smolka out in round 1, in my opinion. Vince Morales, he has been to decision most of his fights. Most of his wins, I should say. So this fight is pretty binary because it's like if Jonathan Martinez is able to get his kicking game going, he's going to win. And if he's not able to get his kicking game going, if Vince Morales is able to close the distance, he's going to win. But I've just seen Vince Morales get stuck on the outside from kickers many times. It happened against Benito Lopez. Benito Lopez fucked him up with kicks. Had him switching all type of stances. And Chris Gutierrez, who's another good kicker, ended up finishing the job that Benito Lopez started and actually finished him via leg kicks. Now, Jonathan Martinez, he's another kicker, So I just feel like Vince Morales versus kickers, he doesn't do well against them, And I do think Jonathan Martinez is going to win this fight. I do think that Vince Morales could hurt Jonathan Martinez because, as I said, he hits hard. He's got pinpoint accuracy. And Martinez's chin, it's questionable. He's been dropped multiple times. So it's questionable, but I just think that this is another one of them fights where, like, majority of the time, like, Martinez is just going to do his thing, man. Martinez is going to be able to stay on the outside. I can't get the Benito Lopez fight out of my head. I can't. And I think that Jonathan Martinez he's probably a better fighter than Benito Lopez, So, yeah, I'm going with Jonathan Martinez here. He's probably going to get a decision win. I can see him finishing Vince Morales, but it's going to be more of like a leg kick, flying knee type thing. So Vince Morales is very, very tough. I will say that. He's extremely tough. He probably won't finish him. But yeah, I'm going with Jonathan Martinez here. I do think he's the rightful favorite. I think he can edge this fight out, quite a lot of times. But, Vince Morales via knockout is a decent hedge. I don't really see Vince Morales winning the decision here, unless he hurts him quite a few times in the rounds, but he just never gets him out of there. So, yeah, that's my breakdown of that fight. The next fight we got is Omar Morales versus Uros Medic. Now, this fight is, fairly interesting because we get to see Uros Medic hopefully in a more extended type fight. I do actually think this fight gets extended more than Uros Medic's other fights. I mean, Uros Medic has never, ever been over 1.5 rounds, but I actually don't mind the over 1.5 rounds in this spot here. I think you can get it at like minus 140 or something. And I don't mind that because I do actually think that Omar Morales is not that much of a finisher. And I do think Medic, he was just outmatched in his last fight against Jalen Turner. I mean, Jalen Turner is a huge fighter. Uros Medic is pretty big as well himself, but Jalen Turner is a much more potent finisher than Omar Morales. Morales is more of a decision fighter. He has hurt people before. He has got a finish in the UFC, but I just think that more often than not, Morales is not really a finisher. He's not a finisher. He doesn't really sell out for the finish. He's a very calculated striker. You see a lot of these fighters that are very calculated. They're just not finishers. Look, I think that I've got the wrong thing up, guys. Sorry, I'll just bring up the Morales thing now. But yeah, I think Morales is, again, I think I'm going with the favorite here. I think he's the rightful favorite. Uros Medic, he knocked out all his opponents who were bums in the UFC. Right? Sorry, on the regional scene. And then he fights his first UFC level competition. And it's a very good fighter in Jalen Turner. And he gets completely buzzsawed run through. He didn't have any moments in that fight. He got completely dominated from pillar to post. He got hurt on the feet. He almost got stopped on the feet. He got hurt with body shots. He got hurt with head shots. He got taken down, dominated on the mat, taken down, I think, twice. It was a terrible look, in my opinion, from Uros Medic there. Jalen Turner's a good fighter. But Jalen Turner looked like a UFC champion in that fight, So I think it was a really, really bad look for Uros Medic, and I have to favor Omar Morales. I mean, we got tape of Morales going back and forth with Gabriel Benitez, and look, if Gabriel Benitez doesn't get knocked out, like, he's a motherfucker to deal with, If you ain't going to knock him out, that guy is a motherfucker, right? So I got faith in Omar Morales pushing hard for 15 minutes, where I have no faith in Medic pushing hard for 15 minutes. I do think it's going to be an extended fight because I think that Morales is probably going to, maybe respect Medic in some way. But I just think Morales is, he's just way more proven, man. Like, you can't back Medic here. Like, why are you going to back Medic? If you're going to back Medic, just bet him by KO or something, like bet him by a first round KO, better yet. But then I think Morales is fucking tough, and I don't really think he's getting KO'd. He can get grinded out and submitted, like Jonathan Pierce, but I don't really think he's going to get KO'd. But Medic is extremely dynamic, so he could probably KO a horse. So it's not out of the realm of possibility. But this is an easy fight for me to pick in terms of who I think is going to win, and just in terms of a bet as well. Like Omar Morales all day here. Medic hasn't proven anything to me. Maybe he'll prove something in this fight, but he's fought, again, just to reiterate the point, he fought nobody, and when he fought anybody, he got ran through like he did not deserve to be on the octagon. If Jalen Turner fights Omar Morales, Morales is going to put up a decent fight. Morales is going to look like he belongs there. Let me tell you, I can guarantee that. He's going to look like he belongs there. And Medic looked like a a baby out. You know what I mean? He looked like a baby in that fight. So I mean, I'm going with Omar Morales here. I mean, easy one for me to pick. And also, I'm talking about on the feet. Like I'm talking about MMA, but like on the feet, it's gonna be like back and forth, close. Like if Omar Morales takes this guy down, this guy is not good on the ground, man. Like, let me tell you something now. Like, he is not good on the ground. Like, Uros Medic, he's bad on the ground, man. I've seen him like controlled by regional scene fights. He's bad on the ground, boys. Like, he's not good, man. If Omar Morales has any brain cells, which I'm not sure he does in terms of MMA IQ because he didn't try to grapple Benitez or Giga Jakatsi, who are very good fighters. But he did take down Shane Young a couple times. Now, that's mainly because Shane Young was kind of like forcing the grappling himself. I'm fully expecting Omar to stand here, to be honest, but he also has a huge path on the ground. So, I wouldn't be surprised if he does go to it. So that's it, spoke about that fight a little bit too much. The next fight we have is Parker Porter versus Jolteon Almeida. This is a weird fight, guys. I don't understand why. I don't understand why this fight is being made. I don't understand why Jolteon is going up to heavyweight. Jolteon came in at like 203 pounds for like his last fight and the Contender Series fight, I think. So he came in underweight for light heavyweight, and now he's moving up to heavyweight to fight a fucking 265 pounder. I don't understand why he's doing it. But let me just make this short, right? This breakdown short, because I kind of want to get through the card now. I'm pretty sure Jolteon is going to be able to take Parker Porter down, and he's probably going to be able to finish him on the ground. I do think Jolteon gets a finish here. I don't really have any interest in betting Parker Porter at all, to be honest. But like, at the same time, I'm not going to hate anyone taking a shot on Parker Porter. Look, he's the money line side. I mean, there's no doubt about it, Jolteon Almeida at almost minus 800 is just ridiculous play. If you are going to play Jolteon Almeida, please play him inside the distance. Minus 800 is just ludicrous. It doesn't really make sense. But at the same time, what do you cap Parker Porter like? Do you give Parker Porter like a 20% chance of winning the fight? Probably like a 20% chance. Maybe, I don't know, maybe like 25%. Maybe, I don't know. What should he be capped? Plus 400, but he's not. He's like plus 500, I think now. But like, I don't know. It's kind of a hard one to speak about in general. I really like Jolteon. I think he's a great fighter. I actually cashed on him as an underdog in his Contender Series fight. But look, he got reversed in that fight like multiple times. I think like 2 times he got reversed. He got taken down once. So he's not invincible. A lot of people are looking at him as this invincible fighter. I have a good read on him. I bet him as an underdog in his Contender Series fight. And then I also bet him via KO at plus 300 in his UFC debut against Danilo Marquez, right? So I got a good read on Jolteon. I like the guy. I think he's a good fighter, but he's not invincible, how like some people are saying. He's just extremely strong, like unbelievable freak athleticism, extremely strong, extremely big for the division. I mean, he's taller than Parker Porter, and he's got a reach advantage on Parker Porter. And Parker Porter's like 60 pounds heavier than him, he's moving up in... He's going to be bigger than most heavyweights in terms of like reach, and height is going to be, there or thereabouts the same. So he's a huge guy. He's got crazy athleticism. He's extremely powerful with his trips and from the body lock. And his jiu-jitsu is legit, and his top pressure and, his viciousness is extremely high level. And that's going to take him all the way, damn near to the belt, especially at light heavyweight. It's going to take him into that top 5, probably. But there's a lot of question marks surrounding him still. We don't know if he can go a hard 15 minutes. He finishes all his opponents in under 1.5 rounds. I was thinking of heavily betting under 1.5 rounds here, because he's never been over 1.5. I think when he lost via decision, he did, but I think he's almost never been over 1.5, but this he's fighting a massive guy here, and I just don't know whether he's going to be able to get his same game going, his same just complete dominance as he usually does. But I do think he finds the finish. But I don't really have any interest in any bets on this fight because there is some unknowns. It's just such a weird thing going up from light heavyweight to heavyweight in this fight. It's just it's a weird thing. So yeah, man, let me move on from this fight because this is just ridiculous, my man. Look, Jolteon Almeida via TKO, okay? But what a weird fight, man. Such a weird fight. All right, let's go back. The next fight we have. And sorry if I'm a bit low energy today, guys. I am a little bit tired, man. I've been taping fights most of the day. Went out yesterday, had a couple of drinks, and just been a little bit, you know how it goes, for most of the day. Been indoors most of the day as well. So, and it's 7 p.m. here where I am, almost. So I need some food, and then I'll be a little bit more energy. But at the end of the day, man, I'm still putting out the content, trying to help you make money. So that's all that matters, right? So we're on the home stretch now. Joseph Holmes versus Alan Amadowski. This fight is a bit of a shit show. I don't know what to say about this one, man. This Alan Amadowski does not look like a good fighter. But he looks kind of tough, though, because he went to decision with Jotko, but then he looks not tough at all because he got one punch by John Phillips. But, as I said, you can't put any stock into round one. You can't put too much stock into round one KOs. And you almost can't put any stock in KOs under 20 seconds. And I think he got knocked out in like 14 seconds. Look, Amadowski doesn't look like a good fighter. But Joseph Holmes isn't that much better. I do think Joseph Holmes is going to finish him, though. I wanted to play fight doesn't go to decision if it was like playable, but the thing's like minus 250, man. I thought it might be like minus 125, and I was going to look to play it. I was hoping it would be plus money. I obviously completely wrong there. I was hoping, right? I didn't think it would be, but I was hoping. Joseph Holmes via sub, I was also looking at that, but it's like plus 200 or something. I mean, Alan Amadowski could come out here and show us something we've never seen before, honestly, I think he was doing well against Jotko, like in the first minute or something, and then he got hit by an elbow, and then he just got grapple fucked. I don't know. This is a weird fight. I think it's I think in this fight, Amadowski. This is just a random thought. I have no evidence for this, but I just think that Amadowski could come out and show us something he's never fought, showing us something he's never shown before. I think the fight's going to be in the grappling realm, so I don't mind. What have I written down here? I think I deleted it, but yeah, I don't mind a Joseph Holmes via sub. But Amadowski is he's a weird fighter. As I say, he got finished by what's the word? We got finished by John Phillips, who's probably one of the worst UFC fighters ever. But then he went to a decision against Jotko. So I mean, the guy's all over the place. The guy's an extremely weird fighter. Jotko did almost finish him a couple of times there, hit him with that crazy spinning elbow, and he got dropped to one knee, so showed solid durability there. So this is just a dodgy fight. Honestly, I think anything could happen in this fight. I wouldn't be surprised at anything happening. So that means I am not betting on this fight, and that also means I'm moving on from this breakdown right now. Eric Anders versus Jun Park. So I want to do a little bit more tape on this fight, but I'm just going to give you, my early thoughts. You kind of got to side with Jun Young Park in terms of who's going to get the win, not in terms of the betting, but in terms of who's going to get the win, because he's shown to be, a decent fighter against fighters who, fight somewhat similar to Eric Anders. I just mean when you see Jun Young Park beat Andre Barrios cleanly, Andre Barrios is not too dissimilar to Eric Anders because Eric Anders is, a come forward fighter. He likes to pressure you, put you up against the cage. He will go for takedowns. He's got good cardio. He's that type of fighter, right? Not really special at anything. Decent boxing, decent power, nothing special. Pretty similar to Marc Andre. Jun Young Park handled Marc Andre. It was a lot cleaner. He's a lot cleaner boxer. He will be a more cleaner boxer than Eric Anders. I do think Eric Anders has the power advantage in this fight, but I think Jun Young Park has the cleaner boxing. He's the technique advantage in this fight. In terms of the takedowns, I think both fighters can get takedowns here, but I don't think both fighters are going to find it easy to get takedowns. Eric Anders, he's a tank. He's a big guy, man. He's huge. So, he's going to have that going for him. He's bigger than Junyoung Park, by, a decent, by quite a bit. He's quite a bit bigger than Junyoung Park here. I mean, he's got a 2-inch height advantage, 2-inch reach advantage, but he's also a much thicker guy. Right. So not only usually what happens is if you're taller, you're a little bit slimmer, right? You're a thinner guy. But he's bigger than Junyoung Park, but he's also a lot thicker. So he's a tank of a guy. I don't think Junyoung Park's going to get him down easily. But we did see Andre Muniz get him down with a good double leg, but that is like Andre Muniz's speciality. We also know that Junyoung Park has a decent double leg, so I'd be interested there. Like, I don't think Junyoung Park's going to be able to get him down from the body lock or from the clinch up against the cage. I don't really think that's going to be the takedown that Junyoung Park gets. I think it's more going to be, blast double or maybe a single or something like that, treetop, something like that. Whereas Eric Anders, I do think he can kind of just bum rush a takedown a little bit more than Junyoung Park can just because of his size. Ultimately, I think this is going to be a close fight. I do think the fight probably goes to decision. I do think it's probably a close-ish type decision. So I don't mind a bet on Eric Anders. I might get there myself. I haven't had a bet yet. I may play Eric Anders. We will see where the line goes. Let's see what Eric Anders' decision is, because you don't like to get too cute when you've got an underdog, but you can also play it. Eric Anders' decision is plus 350, plus 375. On the other hand, Park decision plus 120. So in a fight that I think could be fairly close, I think them lines are a little bit wide. Plus 120 for one guy decision, plus 375 for the other guy. I think that disparity in the line is too much in terms of the dynamic of the fight, right? So, and, the same goes for the money line as well, honestly. So, yeah, I do think Eric Anders is the side here. And, yeah, we'll see. Maybe I will end up betting it. In terms of a straight pick, you probably end up, leaning towards Junyoung Park a little bit, 55% range, Eric Anders 45% range, just because we have seen Junyoung Park, flourish against fighters that are, somewhat similar to Eric Anders. So the next fight on the card, Pollyanna Viana versus Tabitha Ricci. Not too much to say about this fight because I did do the tape quite a while ago. But what I will say is I like that doesn't go to decision in this fight. Both girls don't really go to decision often. Tabitha Ricci is extremely aggressive in the, in the takedown game. And Pollyanna Viana wants to get taken down. She's got, I think, 2 arm bars in a row, which is quite funny. Women's MMA armbar from guard. That happens quite often. Tabitha Ricci will go for takedowns. Her arm will be there. I don't think Tabitha Ricci is this, amazing. She's a good jiu-jitsu fighter. She does have jiu-jitsu competitions as well. But she's this amazing jiu-jitsu fighter who won't get submitted. I think Pollyanna Viana can 100% submit her. But I also think Ricci can submit Pollyanna Viana. And I think Ricci can pound out Pollyanna Viana as well. So I'm not really going to go back and forth on the stylistics. What I am going to say is I like the doesn't go to decision as a bet. I like either girl inside the distance. I like either girl by sub. This is the way I'll look to play this fight. I just think it's going to be, chaos in my opinion. Tabitha Ricci is a lot shorter, and which she is going to be against every fighter because she's 5'1". So I think she's going to need to get up close and push the grappling. I think Tabitha Ricci is going to land some heavy overhands in this fight, but I think Pollyanna Viana is probably going to kick Tabitha in her gut many times, and I think the fight's definitely going into the grappling. I think that's basically a certainty. And if that's going to happen, finishes are going to be there all day from 2 girls who aggressively go for them. And in my opinion, can both be finished by them. Tabitha Ricci, we haven't seen it too much because she's 6-1, got stopped by Furo. We have seen Viana, though, succumb to stoppage losses. But I also think that Tabitha Ricci is kind of open for some sort of armbar from guard or something, just because of how aggressive she is, in her fight style. So that's it. Quick breakdown there, but concise breakdown and pretty, I'm not going to say confident. I'm pretty confident in my breakdown, The next fight, Chidi and Jukwani versus Dusko Todorovich, potential for fight of the night here. Probably Pereira versus Ponzinibio, but yeah, Chidi and Jukwani versus Dusko Todorovich is a very good fighter. Very good fight. I think Chidi is the rightful favorite here. I mean, but I also think that Dusko could do like cage push and win that way. But there's loads of fights on this card that I think like the favorite's going to win it in a close fight so many times. Like I think Chidi and Jukwani is going to win a close. I think he can knock out Dusko, right? But if he doesn't, then I think he's going to win a close fight, more often than not. I also think the same for Jonathan Martinez. And I also think the same for Elise Reed versus Sam Hughes, So, it's like these lines look wide to me. When you look at Elise Reed minus 175 or Jonathan Martinez minus 200, minus 225 or Chidi and Jukwani minus 225, on first glance, and even after tape, there's an argument to say that these lines are wide. Like you could say that, I understand if people are trying to make that argument, but I also think that those fights look, once the fights are finished, I think that they could look wide, but in reality, they wasn't ever wide. It's what I like to call an illusion of value. But maybe I'm wrong, but I just believe that that's the case. So I think Chidi and Jukwani does win this more than 7 or about 7 times out of 10, which is actually outperforming his odds slightly, right? But it could look like a 50-50 fight because of just the way it plays out. But I think he just does enough because he's a better striker. I do think he's able to get off the cage most of the time. I do think he's able to get back up from his feet most of the time. And he's just going to do the better work on the feet 99% of the time, right? So for that reason, I think he's always going to edge out a fight no matter what way it looks. He's mostly always going to edge out that fight, as I said, 70%-ish. Same thing with Elise Reed. And also same thing with Jonathan Martinez, although that one's a little bit more tricky probably. But yeah, I think Chidi and Jukwani is going to be able to, defend the takedowns. I think that if he does get taken down, he'll get straight back up to his feet. But Dusko's pretty heavy on top. So if Dusko does solidify some top time, like a minute, then I think it could be trouble for Chidi, because if he's solidified himself on the ground for 30 seconds or something, then he can really start to get his ground game going. And as we know, Chidi is a striker. He is a kickboxer, by trade, so it could be trouble for him on the ground. But I think Dusko more than likely isn't able to get that game growing. He's only able to get his cage push going, which over a 15-minute fight, I don't think he's going to be able to win the fight that way. Because I think that eventually, Chidi will break from the cage push, and he's just going to do a lot more damage on the feet. It's going to be clear that he steals that round. If Dusko clinches him for 3 minutes of a 5-minute round, but Chidi does good work on the feet for 1.5 minutes, Chidi's going to win the round, even though he done work for half the time Dusko did. It's going to be better work, more quality work, in my opinion, more damaging. So I think he's going to win that fight. Yeah. The next fight we get the co-main event now, which is probably the best fight on the card. Santiago Ponzinibio versus Michel Pereira. Now, Michel Pereira has obviously silenced a lot of doubters. When he lost against Tristan Connolly, a lot of people were laughing at him, gassed out in that fight, did backflips, looked like a bit of an idiot. But, he's came back and he's reeled off wins against decent fighters. Zaleem, was it Imadaev? I think he beat Imadaev, but he's nothing special. Then he beat Chaos Williams, who I actually rate. I actually think Chaos Williams is like a decent fighter. He's very dangerous. I'll put it that way. I don't think he's a great 15-minute fighter, but he's very dangerous for the 15 minutes. So, that was a good win there. And he also beat Nico Price. So that was another good win there. And I think he's got another decent win in the UFC. But yeah, he's beat some good fighters, On the other hand, Ponzinibio, he looks to have slowed down recently. Obviously, he did win that fight against Miguel Baeza, but Baeza, now he's getting knocked out by, wobbled by Matt Brown, knocked out by Fialho, knocked out some other guy, knocked him out. I can't remember who it was. So how good was that win against Baeza? I don't know. It was a close fight. That looked like a 50-50 fight to me, honestly. I mean, I feel like Ponzinibio back in the day would have just knocked out Baeza in round 1. So it's hard to say whether Ponzinibio has passed it or not. Ponzinibio is getting old now. He's 35 years of age, whereas Pereira, He's 28 years of age. He's in his prime. Pereira is never going to be better than he is now for the next, 3 years. Like, this is his prime. Now in 3 years, he's going to improve, and then he'll start to decline, most likely. Majority of the time, that's what will happen. Whereas Ponzinibio, his best days are behind him. He ended up fighting Jeff Neal, losing a decision there. It was a close fight, split decision. But Jeff, that's good to go to a decision with Jeff Neal, but that fight looked kind of weird as well. Like, he looked like he got hurt a couple of times in that fight. Jeff Neal hits hard, but look, this fight is a hard one to break down for me. Honestly, I do not know who's going to win this fight. I'm not interested in betting it all. I was going to bet Ponzinibio in this spot, right? I was leaning more Ponzinibio because he was the underdog. I'm like, he shouldn't be the underdog. The line should be flipped. But honestly, I want to stay away from fights where, like, I feel there's a very slight edge on one fighter and he should be the underdog. Sometimes he shouldn't be the underdog. Sometimes I'll look at a fight and I'll be like, all right, this fight is plus 110 and the favorite is minus 140. But in reality, the other fighter should be plus 110 and the underdog should be minus 140. But that's not that much edge there, right? Like, I'm not fine. At the end of the day, what I'm saying is, if I'm saying he should be minus 140, if I'm saying the line should be flipped from a plus 110, I'm saying the fight is extremely close, right? And so I don't really want to be betting a plus 110 in a very, very close fight. I want to bet a plus 150 in a very close fight, or at least a plus 130, at the very least, a plus 125. I don't want to be betting a plus 110 in a fight where I don't really know what the fuck's going to happen, And a lot of times as well, when you're like, oh, I don't know what the fuck's going to happen, he shouldn't be the underdog. You could be very wrong in that fight. It's not like I'm saying this is a close fight. I know for a fact that this fight is a coin flip, right? Then, yeah, you can be betting plus 110s and stuff like that, or plus 125s, But in this fight, I'm not really sure that it should be 50-50. I'm not outright saying this fight should be a coin flip. If it was, I'd probably take Ponzinibio, right, at plus 110. Maybe I wouldn't because, again, that's very marginal value. But what I'm trying to say is there's a lot of times where you can look at a fight where you think it's close, but you think it's close because for a fact it's a coin flip. This is 50-50. This is a close fight. No way should someone be an underdog like this, right? And then there's another time where you look at a fight and you think it's close. But the reason you think it's close is because you don't know what the fuck's going to happen, right? So in my opinion, in this fight's close. But the fight's not close because I think each fighter has very good tools. It's going to be a back and forth fight. That's not the reasoning why I think this fight's going to be close. The reason why I think this fight is going to be close is because I don't know what the fuck's going to happen. So in my opinion, it's like, I don't know what's going to happen. Like, I think Pereira is probably going to land some shots. Ponzinibio is going to be better on the boxing. Ponzinibio is going to be pressuring him. Maybe he can land that killer shot. I don't think Michel Pereira likes getting hit that much. I honestly think I think he's going to get knocked out sooner or later. I kind of think Ponzinibio might be the man to do it. But also, Michel Pereira could maybe just dance around Ponzinibio. He could finish Ponzinibio. I mean, Michel Pereira hits hard to the gut. We've seen Ponzinibio knocked out by the leech. We see him hurt by Baza. We see him hurt by Jeff Neal. I mean, it looks like his durability is going down. I don't know what the fuck's going to happen. So when that happens, I'm just going to take a step back. Maybe I look at some props. If a prop is wildly lined, then yeah, I'm happy to play it. But in terms of a money line side, it's minus 125 plus 100, guys. Like, I don't want to get involved in that. You know what I'm saying? And if anyone does get involved in it, good luck to you, because I don't really see I don't see how you can watch this fight or, research this fight and have a strong opinion on a money line. I just don't understand why. I'm looking now, Ponzinibio inside the distance plus 300. Ponzinibio TKO plus 330. Plus 450 bet online, not too bad. Nothing too crazy that I want to bet, honestly. Under 1.5 rounds, plus 250. If a knockout's coming, it could shockingly come early. Again, guys, as you can tell, I don't know what the fuck's going to happen. So I'm going to stop talking about this fight. But yeah, very, very hard for this. Very hard for me to break down this one. Good luck if you're betting on it. Daz Files, shout out to Daza. He's saying, hit the like for the free content. I never, ever say that. I always forget it. Please hit the like button. All these other YouTubers say it helps the algorithm, right? So it must be true. Otherwise, they wouldn't say it. So I'm going to copy them and say, can you hit the like button, please? Subscribe to my content. If you did want to sign up for all my bets, I'm just giving you my opinions now, but we have actually multiple bets locked in for this weekend. We have a lot of prop bets. We have a lot of parlays, heavy on some parlays this weekend, and we have some money line bets. And I already have bets locked in or in the chamber, ready to go for next weekend. I have 2 bets. I'm going to be sending them out shortly as soon as the lines come widely available. We've won 7 of the last 9 events. We are on a run right now. We are up like 33 units this year. I'm still aiming for that 100 unit year. Last year, I got 98 units. We're at 33 units now. The run is happening. We are on the run right now, right? You have good runs. You have bad runs. You have medium runs. Right now, we're on a good run. So if you ever was thinking of signing up, this is the time to do it because I'm on a solid run, right? So, and I am actually confident about the next couple cards. From what I can see before tape, I'm confident about this card. And the next card I actually like. There's one line that is absolutely crazy. And I may have a max bet for next card, but it's going to be a parlay of a fight this weekend and a fight next weekend. It's actually a prop bet for this weekend and a money line play for next weekend. So I may make that a max bet. We just went 33-1 on our max bets. I've lost one big bet in my life, and I've won 33 in a row. It's a record that has never been seen before. You don't get this in Vegas. Professional sports bettors do not have a run of 33-1. It's unheard of, really. And these lines I'm betting are like minus 170. There's a couple minus 200s in there. The average odds are probably like minus 160, minus 170, honestly. So it is what it is. We're smashing it at the moment. So, come aboard if you want. The next fight of the night is going to be the main event of the night. And I don't know why they're making this a main event. Holm versus Katelyn Vieira. I'm going to keep this short and simple. Keep this breakdown under an hour. I want to keep this video under an hour. So yeah, short and simple, guys. I think Holm, is a clear level above Katelyn Vieira. It's pretty obvious to see. But big caveat, guys. She's 40 years of age. Remember, Connor, 40 years of age. A couple of you will know what I'm talking about there. That's the thing. She's 40 years of age, and her opponent, Katelyn Vieira, is 30 years of age. When there's that big of a discrepancy in the age, you have to be a little bit wary. But at the end of the day, Holm smashed fuck out of Irene Aldana last fight. Just dominated her, pillar to post, 50-45 there, right? And Irene Aldana was, I think, younger than Katelyn Vieira. I think she's like the same age or something, right? Holm beat Rocky Pennington before that. Holm's a great fighter, man. She's a really good fighter. She's got amazing footwork. She has great head kicks, good side kicks. And she's developed a really, really good clinch game now. So, she's got that side kick. She's got good boxing, professional boxer. Her boxing record was like 33-4 or something like that. I think she was a boxing world champion. I think I'm not 100. I think she was. But she's a great boxer. She's a very good kicker. She's got that sideways karate stance, so you can't get close to her. If you do get close, she keeps you on the end of her range with kicks, right? If you close the distance, she's got that professional boxing career to fall back on. And if you get inside that range, she's now developed a really good clinch game. So, she's an all-round fighter. She looks like she might still be improved. She is still improving at MMA. Maybe some facets of her game have dropped. I'm not sure, because I never want to say they just keep on improving at 40 years of age. Probably maybe her speed or something is diminishing a little bit. I haven't seen it yet, but it is possible. But definitely she's making improvements in MMA. As I said, she's just developed this clinch game in the last 3 or so years, where she just can dominate fights in the clinch now. I remember when she was taking down Megan Anderson and just smashing her with elbows. I think she finished Megan Anderson on the ground. Did she not? I'm pretty sure she did. And then Rocky Pennington, she just put her up against the clinch, just held her there. Pennington is good in the clinch, man. Pennington's solid in the clinch, She loses some, but she wins a lot of her fights in the clinch. So, shout out to her for dominating Pennington there. And then Irene Aldana, she was clinching her up. So Holm's a great fighter. On the other hand, we got Katelyn Vieira, who she's a bit up and down. Katelyn Vieira, she's pretty strong fighter. She beat Miesha Tate, who's a legend of the sport. She's trying to make it 2 for 2 on her fighting legends. She's trying to beat Holly Holm, who, you know, is in that same bracket as Miesha Tate in terms of a women's MMA legend. You know, she will always be a legend because of that head kick knockout over Ronda Rousey. Subsequently lost the belt against Miesha Tate, round 5 submission, which was an epic fight, epic night, epic event. But yeah, Katelyn Vieira is coming off that Miesha Tate fight. She basically, you know, cleanly won that fight over 5 rounds. It was a weird fight though. Like, it could have been scored for Miesha. Maybe, like, I definitely scored it for Katelyn, but like the rounds were so close that I thought it was going to be a split decision. You know, I just thought the rounds were extremely close. I think going into the 5th round, there was definitely a case that you could have said that Miesha Tate, you know, it was 2-2 going into round 5, you know. But I think Katelyn then won the 5th round, and it was kind of clear that she would have won the fight. Katelyn won the fight, but, you know, the margins were close. You know, it was a weird fight. Holly Holm is obviously going to want to keep it a distance here. Katelyn Vieira is probably going to start spamming the takedowns. I just don't really see a path to victory for Katelyn Vieira. You know, I don't really see it. I don't really know what she's going to be able to do. In my opinion, the path to victory is Katelyn Vieira taking Holly Holm down. I think that's the path to victory, right? But I don't think she can do it for 5 rounds. I just do not. Plain and simple, I don't think she's going to be able to do that, right? The only other path to victory I see is like Holly Holm just falls off a cliff because she's 40 years of age. So, I mean, her path to victory is Holly Holm falling off a cliff, in my opinion, because it is the takedowns, but I really don't see it. So, I think the only way, what's her name? I think the only way Viera wins this fight is by Holly Holm just really deteriorating. So yeah, that's it, guys. Whole breakdown, done the whole card in 1 hour, 1 minute. Kind of funny because I usually do like 3 fights in 1 hour, 1 minute, but I go very in depth on them fights, talk about my philosophy, start ranting about this, that, and whatever. So, you know, this time I kept it concise, kept my breakdowns concise. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Yeah, again, hit the like button, sign up if you want. Shout out to everybody. I'll answer a few questions now. If you have any questions, please hit me up in the chat. And then I'll be going off on my road trip, going up to Cairns, Australia. For any of you who want to follow me along, so I had a few messages. People are like, "Oh, you should put up, you know, you should vlog your road trip, and you can, you know, you can put it on your personal YouTube channel and stuff like that," which I haven't actually uploaded on. If you want to follow me along on my road trip, you can follow me on Instagram. It's JGBSC1, the number 1, JGBSC1. I do stories and stuff like that all the time, so you can follow along there. I won't be doing any vlogging this road trip, but maybe one day I might do. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, man, thanks everybody for watching. I'll hit you guys up in the chat now. And you can always hit me up on Instagram as well. Just don't hit me up with any dumb questions. You know, sometimes I get some insane questions from people online. You know, it's proper funny. Like, what are some of the mad ones I got recently? Like, I don't know. I can't even think right now, but people will be like, do you think Bruce Lee would have beat Conor McGregor and shit like that? And I'm like, bro, like, what are you on about, man? Like, what the fuck am I meant to say to that, bro? I just bet on MMA. Like, I don't know about Bruce Lee and that. Like, I obviously have an opinion. Now, I mean, Conor McGregor would fuck the dude up. You know, shout out to Bruce Lee. The guy's an absolute legend. But to like DM me that, and I've never spoke to you before, it's just a mad one, you know? But anyway, so what we saying here? Reggae Panda saying he gets the runs when he eats sketchy meat. Okay. They are the worst runs. What type of meat, bro? Panda? Will kick Ignacio. Lucrative is goated. Thank you, brother. Appreciate that. Manlight underscore saying Lucrative the goat. Thank you, brother. Appreciate that. Is that a cat in your display picture? That's a funny one. 79 Fubu. What's going on with the names today, man? 79 Fubu and underscore. 79 Fubu is saying, I signed up. I like it. I didn't even have the bankroll to warrant it, but I wanted to see into your mind. I'm glad you like it, brother. I try to put a lot of content on there, not only just give out bets, you know, as you know, because you've signed up. I've got lots of training courses on the website and I've got over like 20 videos on the website teaching people how to bet on MMA. And I also put out that weekly bet and breakdown and philosophy video every week. Underscore is saying, is it worth it? Wizbet, shout out to Wizbet, my man. Shout out to you. Thank you, brother. Any horse tips? Nothing at the moment. I didn't get any, I haven't got any word from anybody, so no. Cameron, I will post them on Twitter if I do, but I can't always post them on Twitter because I get told not to give them out and stuff like that because of the lines and stuff like that. But the ones I do post up. Cameron C3 didn't get to watch the whole thing until the end. We'll watch back later. But what dogs are you leaning towards this week, bro? What did we say? Like, what dogs did I have a look at? I said Ponzinibio is a fight I'm completely avoiding, so I don't even know why I mentioned him. I think Eric Anders was the one that I, was thinking of backing. Chase Hooper, is going to be live, in my opinion, in this fight. Other than that, I kind of like the favorites. Yeah, this is actually a pretty favorite heavy card there. I actually do like the favorites. Daz is saying, thanks a lot. He's saying, why didn't the Hulk beat the Superman? Anaconda saying, who wins, Bruce Lee or Parker Porter? Yeah. Surely Porker. Holm by decision. The thing about Holm by decision is like, Katelyn Vieira got knocked out by one punch against Irene Aldana. Bosh! Left hook, Bink. That was a naughty left hook. And she's been hurt against someone else as well. I can't remember. So I don't even trust the chin to hold up if she gets head kicked or something. Who did you have in Hulk versus Superman? Bro, I don't know, bro. Will Dean is saying, what sticks in your head as your favorite MMA bet that you ever made? Tip. It's actually Marcos Rogerio de Lima versus Maurice Green at -170. 11 unit max bet. I just think that Marcos de Lima is like a 99% favorite in that fight. I honestly do. I mean, I think that he literally had to break his leg like Rakic to lose that fight. And he was -170. I remember when I taped that fight, I was like, man, this guy might be a max play, but he's probably going to be like -300, but I'll probably still max bet him because he's just not going to lose this fight. And then I saw the odds after and it was -170. And I was like, oh my God, I am emptying the bankroll on this bet. And I had a huge wager on that fight. 11 units on it, which is the maximum I ever tip. And I mean, it was 30-27. Argument for like 30-25. Honestly, it could have been a 10-8. He took him down every round. I think he got, out of the 15 minutes that fight was fought for, I think he got 13 and a half minutes control time. So you can just imagine it was one of the most boring fights of all time. But it was just such an easy cash. One of the most sweat-free cashes I've ever had. In terms of fights that go 15 minutes, obviously I've had cashes where my fighter wins in the first minute, right? So there's no sweat. But yeah, that's my favorite bet I've ever made. And then obviously I've got like a lot of other great bets that I've made, like underdog bets. I remember I bet Rufian Stotts at +400 against Magomedov. And I bet Kai Kara France at +300. That one felt really good because everybody was on Askarov, Askarov submission, stuff like that. And I played Kai Kara France +300. But yeah, the Marcos Rogerio de Lima one was probably my favorite. Low T City Ortega saying, thank you. Underscore saying, what are your opinions on algorithms, models that people use to bet? I don't know, man. I need to see some evidence of them doing well. I haven't really, there's a few guys on Twitter that, post models. But I haven't really tracked their stuff. I haven't looked at, their track record. So I don't really know if it's done any good. I need to see it. I don't really have any opinions because I've never looked deep into them because I've been earning so much money doing it the way I'm doing it that I haven't really ever looked into a model. 79 Fubu saying, thoughts on the upcoming Pereira versus Strickland fight? I think Sean might show some holes in Alex's game. Yeah, you have to favor Sean there, right? You have to favor Sean, man. I think you can get takedowns. You have to favor Sean. Of course you do. Maurice Green was bad, extremely bad. And we got to fade him, so happy about that. Zach D. Volante versus Green was a fight. Yeah, that was insane, man. That was insane. Wasn't Green like dominating him, and then he just got triangle choked or something? No, he got choked from bottom, like Ezekiel choke or something weird, and he tapped where like no one thought he would tap. The commentators were going, "How the hell did he tap? Like he wasn't even locked in or something crazy like that." I don't know. Cameron C3 is saying my biggest bet of the year was Carla Esparza versus Rose this year. Very sweat free, bro. Shout out to you. That was a good bet. I also bet on Carla Esparza, but I don't think that was sweat free. That was like it was not sweat free, like, because I honestly thought Rose won the fight. You know, I know people were going like nuts on Twitter, like, oh yeah, the judges better not rob Carla. I bet on Carla Esparza. I was rooting for Carla all the way. But when the fight went to decision, I was like, Rose probably nicked it. It's a 50-50 fight. I don't know what the fuck, I don't know who's going to win this fight. It's one of the worst fights I've ever seen. But I think Rose probably, she did a little bit more damage. She got the takedowns a couple of times. She was the one, winning the grappling and stuff. I thought she nicked it, but she didn't. Obviously, Carla Esparza won that fight, but it was such a weird fight that, I guess I'm happy with the bet. But at the same time, I don't even know if I'm happy with the bet because, nothing I thought would happen happened. Are you saying you're kidding? It was hilarious. Yeah. It was like one of the worst bets ever. Free. That was the most boring fight in a while. Happy Rose lost because fuck Pat Barry. Cameron C3. I figured they score it any way possible. Yeah, it was dodgy. Entertainment free. That was the word I was thinking of. These. So that's it, guys. I'm going to shoot off now, man. Thanks everyone for watching. Shout out to you guys. Love all of you guys. Hopefully we can all make money together. We're all going to make it, bro. We're all going to make it. So, yeah, I'll be back whenever I can. I'll still be on the road trip for the next 3 weeks or so, but I'll be back with some more content maybe next week. We'll see. Take care.